Welcome to Finding Home Healing. I'm your host, Sadie. I believe you were born with a light that guides you to your higher self and most passionate life. But for many of us, it's been extinguished or lost. My mission is to help you find your way back home to that light so that you can love deeper, live in your power, and truly thrive. For those lost or lonely souls, welcome home. Have you ever felt stuck in an emotional state like frustration, sadness, fear, maybe even guilt, shame, confusion, depression, anxiety, stress, or just anything uncomfortable that you really don't like being in? If you have, this episode is going to be really helpful for you. We're going to discuss the number one thing that you need to have in order to have a healthy life and to have a healthy routine, in order to be happy. That's what we're all trying to do, right? Like, we're wanting to have peace. We're wanting to have a great life that we feel good about, that we feel happy in, right? There's some people that think that the word happy is not the best word to use, and we can interchange that with joy. But in any case, happy and joy, that's what a lot of us are looking for. So this thing that I'm going to talk about today is extremely important for us to have. It is like, I call it the number one thing we need to have, not because I'm being dramatic, but because I literally believe in the core of my being that it is so massively important for us to have a great life, to be happy, to be joyful. We're going to discuss what it is, why it's so important, and how to do it. So do you feel enrolled yet? I hope so. Okay, that one thing is called inner releasing. Inner releasing. I also refer to it as emotional digestion, and I'm going to explain a little bit more about that in a minute. It is so important that we do inner releasing. I am going to keep saying that over and over and over again. So many people don't know about this. They don't know what it is. They don't know how to do it. They don't even know that it's necessary, right? Like, I'll be so bold as to compare this to like when we learned about needing to brush our teeth. We need to brush our teeth in order to have a healthy oral cavity and to have great digestion in our gut and to be out in society, right? Like, inner releasing is like that moment where we finally realized, oh, we need to brush our teeth in order for a healthy routine. We need to do inner releasing for our healthy routine, okay? I'm going to explain why it's so important in a second and why I keep hounding that point. But first, I need to make sure that we're on the same page about what I'm even talking about. What is inner releasing, Sadie? Inner releasing has to do with emotions. So we're talking about emotions here. Surprise, surprise. I love talking about emotions. Inner releasing is referring to releasing emotions, right? That's why I asked you in the beginning, like, do you feel stuck in any of these emotional states? Emotions are something that we also need to unpack. So I just want to make sure that we're all like in the same reality and we're all on the same page around what I'm talking about and what all these definitions are and what the words mean and everything. Okay. So emotions are or can be thought of in a lot of different ways, but I want to boil it down to a couple different ideas. Okay. Emotions are like dinner. They're an event. They have a beginning and they should have an end, right? They are not meant to be a thing that just lingers and stays around. If they do, they become stagnant energy, right? Because the other important concept about emotions is that they are energy in motion. Emotion, energy in motion, emotion. Emotions have movement to them, or they're supposed to. Like, they are energy that is in motion. They are meant to come in like a wave and out like a wave. So if you are getting emotions stuck in you, or you're getting stuck in an emotional state, you are essentially deactivating the energy of what that thing is supposed to be doing, and it's going to wreak a lot of havoc on you. It's not going to be good, right? I like to make this analogy that emotions can get stuck in you if there's no motion to them, and they putrefy. Like, they will literally rot inside of you. And I don't mean to say this to like scare you or freak you out, but there's a very real reality where when people are not doing routine inner releasing, they are getting emotions that are stuck inside them and they're putrefying, and that's what makes physical dis-ease. Okay, dis-ease, not in every case. It can also be caused by environment and external factors. That was what one of my illnesses was a huge contribution of, was like the environment and other factors like toxins. But our physical body gives us symptoms as a warning flag and a red flag, being like, hey, hello, you've got some stuck energy inside of you. We need to get that moving. We need to get it out, right? The body is trying to tell you, look, there's a problem here. We need to clear this out. One of my other favorite analogies is like releasing emotions is literally like taking out the trash. Okay, if you allow your trash to accumulate in your kitchen or your office, your bedroom, whatever, your bathroom, eventually it will start stinking. It'll just be full of a bunch of rotten stuff and it will pile up, and eventually you will not want to live in that house or that room. Your body's the exact same way. If you allow your emotions to build up and putrefy, then essentially your body's just full of all this trash that's not moving, it's not getting taken out or cleared, and it stinks. Like, I know this sounds a little bit crazy, but because I'm, energetically sensitive and intuitive, all of that, if I pick up on somebody's baggage, sometimes it literally actually stinks. Like, I can smell energy at certain times. Again, I know that sounds crazy, but whatever. Sometimes I can smell baggage if I'm around people, right? I'm not saying in every case that's what happens, but I'm trying to make this analogy make sense to you, that energy that gets stuck in your body that you're not releasing, that you're not letting go of, putrefies just like trash would when you don't take it out. You're not putting it in the garbage bin and letting the garbage truck take it. And sadly, it does have to go to the landfill, but I can't go down that rabbit hole and how sad that makes me right now. The energy gets stuck in your body. You're not releasing it. You're not taking out your trash. It putrefies, it gets rotten, it piles up. Eventually it stinks. And your soul doesn't want to live in a stinky, dirty house. If your body were analogous to the house that the trash builds up in, your soul doesn't want to live there. You wouldn't want to live in a house that's full of trash. Why do you think your soul would? Okay? Your body is so important and such a beautiful vessel for your soul to want to be a part of, to want to live in, to want to serve and do good things for, and to, eventually work together as a team to do good things on this planet, that you have to keep up on keeping that house clean for your soul. So you can even think of it like a duty that you're doing for your own soul. It's like clean up your house. Okay? Hopefully I've pounded that in enough. That's why doing inner releasing is so important. You got to take out the garbage. Okay? Your body is needing to have a clean environment and a clean space in order for it to be joyful and to be happy and passionate, inspired, calm, peaceful, any other pleasant feeling or emotion or state that you could think of. Your body needs a clean and clear space in order for those emotions and those states to be more prevalent. This is the number one thing that you need to have in your routine to have a healthy life and to be happy. It's just like pooping, even. Like, we can even go so far as go there. I have naturopathic doctors in my family and in my friend group, and so pooping is just something that is like a very normal topic of conversation that we talk about, but I will spare you. I won't talk about our poop or my poop or any more of that from here on out, but it is very analogous to that. Okay, so we need to check in with how acquainted you are with your emotions, because the more acquainted you are with your emotions, the easier inner releasing will be for you. The easier it will be to clean up your house, get rid of all the putrefying, crappy stuff that your body may or may not eventually manifest into physical dis-ease or symptoms or illness, or, even some clients that I work with have infertility. And I'm not saying that their emotions caused their infertility, but we got to just clean house and clean shop in order for you to get on your path and your soul to be lit up in its passion on its path. So I want to take an inventory of where you're at with emotions. First question: How much do you like to talk about your feelings? Are you comfortable with them? Is it relatively easy for you? Can you identify feelings and feel them and talk about them? Does that feel true for you? Just think about that. Take an inventory about that, of that for yourself. Or are you somebody who feels like feelings are the bane of your existence? Like, you never want to talk about them. You don't even know what you feel when you feel things. You don't know the labels or the words that would even describe emotions. I worked with a client once who this was the case, and bless their souls, we learned as we worked together how to identify certain sensations and certain feelings and be able to put words to them. And eventually they became so much more emotionally intelligent because they dropped their like fear and discomfort around just emotions themselves. And it was a really beautiful process. And now that person does such an easier job with inner releasing because they overcame this. So I just want you to take an inventory. Is that true for you? Are you somebody who feels like you can't face emotions or feelings? They're too overwhelming, or they're too scary, or they're too confusing, or whatever it is that you define emotions to be. Like you don't know when you have them, or if you have them, or whatever. Or are you somewhat in between those two options, right? There's always a middle option, a third option. Are you sometimes the first way and sometimes the second way? Let's take an inventory. What are you? Or where do you think that you would fit? My next question is, do you feel stuck in any way in your life situation right now? In some of those emotions, like I said in the very beginning, do you feel stuck in sadness, in frustration, confusion, stress, anxiety? Did I say depression already? I don't even know. Chaos, anything else that's uncomfortable, disappointment, failure. Failure is not exactly an emotion, but there's fear of failure. Any of those uncomfortable feelings, guilt, shame, any of that, do you feel like you are sitting in any of those emotions, that they are overwhelming your state of being in a day-to-day experience? If you just feel discomfort, that's okay too. You don't have to know exactly what you feel. I'm going to talk about a resource a little bit later on today that can help you identify your feelings. So if that is important to you and that's something that you would need, take note of that and listen for when I talk about that in a minute. Next question, how intense are these feelings for you? A scale of 1 to 10. 10 being the most intense. Does it range? Is it more intense in the morning or at night, or when something happens or triggers you, when you see something or somebody, right? Like when my sister was going through her infertility journey, her intensity of sadness would shoot through the roof when she would see people get pregnant or when she would see people with babies, rightfully so. They went through infertility for 6 years, and seeing other people with babies and getting pregnant was so depressing and so hard for her. So her intensity was like 20 out of 10 when those things happened. And then, sometimes they would still be at like a 7 out of 10 intensity. Next question. If you were able to release these feelings, would it improve your life? Just think about that. If I was able to release any of these emotions or feelings that I've been stuck in or that dictate my state, would it improve my life? Yes, no, not sure, maybe. What's true for you? Do you believe it's possible to be free from these feelings or the discomfort? Yes, no, not sure, maybe. Do you believe it's possible to be free from them? Do you believe that you could live in a world and a reality where whatever emotion or state that you're in could disappear and it could be better or different? Do you believe that that's even possible? If you don't, that's unfortunate. And I would really like to encourage you to open up your mind to the reality that it is absolutely possible. And if that's something that you struggle with, please get in touch with me, because I would love to help you out of that world and that reality that it's not possible. But if you're somebody who does believe it's possible and you're just really not sure about it, or there's questions or confusion, this is going to help you, okay? It is 100% possible to completely change your state, to get rid of emotions, to let them disappear. I do it all the time in my practice. I was literally just working with a client last week who came to me with a fear of public speaking, and we had 2 sessions about it. And after our second session, her fear of public speaking literally disappeared. She went and spoke the next day. She had a great time. She connected with all of the people that were at the event, and her fear had disappeared. It was insane. It was magical. It was beautiful. And I experience that day in and day out when I see clients. It is absolutely real and possible. I'm also a testament. If you haven't listened to some of my beginning episodes, like my story, then please go listen to that, because you will learn that I've overcome so many things because I believe that we can change our state. I believe that emotions can disappear. I believe that they are a beginning and an end, and that they do not define us. They do not have authority over us, and we are the ones that have power. We can take back our power. That's what inner releasing is meant to do, is to help you take back your power, to come back home to yourself, the self that is the cleaned up home, your body home for your soul. Cool? Okay, so let's understand a little bit more about what inner releasing actually is now. Inner releasing is very, very simple. It might not always be easy, but it is very simple. I like to use the analogy of holding a pen, which I actually had up on my desk a minute ago, but I put it away. And for those of you watching on the video, you'll be able to see, but those of you just listening auditorily, I've got a pen in my hand. I'm holding a pen between my fingers, and I want to make it very, very clear that releasing emotions is very simple. Again, not always easy, but very simple. It is literally the difference between what I'm doing right now. I'm holding the pen and I'm, holding it up so that you can see what it's about to do next. And the difference between holding on to an emotion and a state is literally this. For those of you listening auditorily, I just dropped the pen. Okay? That's all it is. It's literally the moment in time that I decide that I'm ready to let go of the emotion. Boom. It's gone. I let it go because I am in the seat of authority. I am the one that is deciding, do I want to be in this emotion? Do I want to hold on to this emotion or this pen? Or do I want to drop it and let it go? Okay, again, those of you auditorily, I keep doing this over and over again where I grab the pen, I'm holding it, and then I drop the pen on my lap. And it falls, it disappears. Okay, I no longer have the pen. Think about emotions that they are not sticking to you. You are actually the one sticking to them. The pen has no choice whether I'm holding it or not. I am the one holding the pen. We are sticky to emotions. Emotions are not sticky to us. Emotions are energy in motion. They want to move. They want to come in and they want to go out. They're messengers. They want to come in, they want to give you a message, they want to teach you something, and then they want to leave. And they want to go do whatever else they're going to do. Okay? They don't have a consciousness like a human being does, but they have a vibration. They have a frequency. And there are more and more literal technological and scientific machines that are able to read emotional states of people. You can read them in the brain when you get a brain scan. You can tell what people are experiencing emotionally because they're a frequency, there's a vibration to them. Okay? So we are sticky to emotions. Emotions are not sticky to us. You will only let emotions go when you decide that you're ready to let them go. Okay? I'm going to hold on to this pen however long I want, however long I need to, for it to achieve its purpose and its mission, right? If I need to write something down, if I need to use it, if it needs to teach me something, whatever, that's what emotions do. That's their purpose. And the moment that they complete their purpose and I let them complete their purpose, that they teach me what they're meant to teach me, that they give me the gift and the goodness that they have to give me, even if it's a negative emotion. All negative emotions, in my opinion and belief, have a message. They are actually here to serve us. But the holding on of them is our bad. We need to let them go, which is why we're talking about inner releasing today. Cool? So we are the ones, when we're finally ready to be like, you know what? Okay, I'm ready to let go of this emotion. I'm ready to let go of fear. I'm ready to let go of sadness. I'm ready to let go of shame, guilt, disappointment, frustration, anger, numbness, you name it, whatever emotion it is. The moment you're ready to let it go, that emotion is going to be ready to go. Okay? So what's interesting here is actually that what keeps an emotion stuck, yes, is you holding on to it. What is that though? What is the word for that? How do we describe that? It's resistance. It is your literal resistance to the emotion that keeps it stuck, that keeps you holding on to it. Resistance is how you hold on to an emotion, which is crazy when you think about it. Because when you're not inviting emotions in, when you're not welcoming the experience that they give you, and you're trying to fight it, you're trying to block it out and get rid of it and run away from it, hide from it, numb it, distract yourself from it. When you're doing those things, you're literally resisting it, and you're the one that's holding onto it. You're keeping it stuck. You are the one that is keeping it inside of you, because you are at the seat of power here. They do not have power over you. So when you are resisting an emotion, you're keeping it stuck. You are literally holding on to it by not accepting it, by resisting it. So in order to release an emotion, in order to get ready to let an emotion go, you accept it, you welcome it, you validate it, you let it be, you hear it out, you talk to it. Like, I read a book once that was really, really profound and beautiful, and part of the book suggested to have tea with your demons, essentially. And what that really meant was to talk to your emotions. Ask them questions. What are they here to teach you? What are they here to tell you? What is their message? What can you learn from them? You want it to teach you. You want emotions to share lessons with you. They are messengers. And you need to receive the message that the messenger gives you, therefore freeing the messenger, freeing the emotion, being able to let the emotion go because you're not resisting it anymore. This is the thing that is so important and so valuable. When I work with people, I share with them, like, look, you're having an emotional experience or you're stuck in a certain state because you are literally resisting that state itself. If you were able to accept that you were in that state and just let it be, it would actually disappear easier and faster. It seems like a reverse psychology tactic or whatever, and it seems counterintuitive, but that's literally how you get rid of emotions and how inner releasing becomes so effective. Okay? Resistance comes in many forms. My job is often with people to find the point of resistance in somebody, helping that person let go of that so that the emotion is then just free to disappear and evaporate. That's my job. That's what I'm actually very skilled at, and what I'm very good at is I can pinpoint where people's resistance is. Why are they holding on to this? What is it doing for them? What are they getting out of it? What is their secondary gain? What kind of benefit is coming from them holding on to this emotion? And I have a lot of different ways that I do that, but that's when I work with a client one-on-one. Today, in this episode, I'm going to tell you how to do inner releasing yourself, and sometimes it can be helpful to do it with a practitioner. Okay, so another important thing, in order for inner releasing to be effective, we have to understand the concept of stories. Emotions have stories tied to them more often than not, unless you've trained yourself to not have stories tied to them. Stories, if you've never heard of that concept before, are essentially assumptions or meaning that you've assigned to a certain person, place, event, or an experience that explains why it rationalizes and justifies an emotion's presence. Okay, I'll say that again. Stories are basically like things that you're making up to explain or justify or rationalize an emotion's presence, why it's here, or what, like the reason for it, right? I'll give you an example in a second. But a story can also be the meaning that you make because of an emotion or from an emotion, right? So it kind of goes both ways. Stories are justifying the presence of an emotion, and they can also be the meaning that you take from an emotion. So an example, this is just like a very simple, kind of silly example, but I wanted to make it simple so that we could understand this concept. Maybe you're feeling hurt because your spouse didn't answer your phone call. The story part of that emotion comes after the because. Because is always explaining something. It's justifying why something happened. Because is something in our language that helps human beings satisfy the why question, which a lot of us have. I would say a majority of us. Some of us are why people. We're like, we must know why about everything. I'm one of those people. So it's the reason why you feel certain ways or the meaning behind the emotion. This why, right? Like you feel hurt because they didn't answer. Okay, so the story's like they didn't answer. The next part of that story is the assumption, or let me put it this way. The story and the assumption in this specific example is made up in your mind that justifies the explanation of why they didn't answer. So it's just like this chain of thing after thing where it's like, well, this thing happened, this event took place, and without a value judgment, just that thing happened. The spouse didn't answer the phone, period. Or no, I'm sorry. The thing that happened in this example, I'm getting myself confused, is that you're feeling hurt. That's just the fact. You're feeling hurt. Okay, and the story that starts forming is that you're feeling hurt because your spouse didn't answer the phone. And then the secondary layer of the story that your brain makes up is that, well, they didn't answer the phone because you annoy them. Or you think to yourself, they didn't answer the phone because I annoy them. Okay, so do you see the story part of that is after the because I annoy them? At no point so far in this example have we found that to be true or even valid. But what our brains do is it comes up with an explanation as to why things happen or why things are in order to help give us some semblance of peace and security in the world. But that's why it's toxic in a lot of ways, because our brains are often lying to us based off of trauma or a concept called schemas that you can learn about in my podcast number 13, I think. Are You Emotionally Healthy? It could be a complete lie that your brain is telling you that's making up this story because you're insecure maybe about annoying people or people being too needy, right? That's yet another story. Do you see how they just keep building layer upon layer upon layer upon layer on top of each other? Like something happens, you feel hurt, and then there's a story. Well, I feel hurt because my spouse didn't answer the phone, and he or she didn't answer the phone because I annoy him or her. And I annoy him or her because I talk too much or because I'm too needy. So do you see how these stories just build and build and build? I mean, some of us can build up stories that are, mountains high. And when I work with somebody, my job is to start breaking down all the layers of those stories to really get to the truth and the root of what is really true here and where the baggage really is and where that baggage started. And when I say baggage, I mean a negative emotion or a limiting belief. Right? The hurt that this person in this example may have felt is probably rooted in their childhood somewhere. I'm not saying for certain, but let's just say in a lot of cases, people's hurt that they experience or people's negative emotions that they experience in everyday life with everyday people that they interact with are rooted from some type of event or some type of experience or some type of belief that happened earlier on in their timeline. Not everybody would feel hurt if their spouse didn't answer the phone. Not everybody would think that it's because they annoy that person. And not everybody would think it's because they are annoying and they talk too much or they're too needy. That is that one person's reality and that one person's world based off of some information that they got or some experience that they had or something that they learned from somebody else who told them, you're annoying, you're too needy, you call me too much, or whatever. Okay, is this making sense to you? I hope this is really landing because this is so important when it comes to emotional intelligence and learning how to release inner emotions and how to have this healthy life and this healthy routine. We have to understand stories and realize how much we're building story upon story upon story and start learning to knock those stories out and get rid of all the lies and all the untruths and really boil it down to what's really true. And boil it down to the root of where is this emotion coming from? Where is this trigger rooted? What was the first event that it happened? In some people's beliefs, maybe it was in a past life. Or very often, maybe it's passed down to you genealogically. There is a whole body of work and wisdom around inherited family trauma, which I'm really, really big into because I do believe that a lot of us here on this planet now are here to help heal past lines and generations of inherited trauma and start changing the trajectory of the future for all the lines that are to come, right? So this is not just a you thing. This could be a whole genealogical line that maybe your mom struggled with and your grandma and your great-grandma and your great-great-grandma or on your paternal side, it doesn't matter. But these are things that are not just you and yours. So they're not your fault. They're just things that, maybe you are the one that has chosen to become responsible for them and to change them. Okay. I really need a whole episode just to talk more and teach more about stories. But my point is that stories often feed the resistance, which as we know now is what keeps emotions stuck and prevent you from successfully releasing emotions. Okay, so if you want inner releasing to become effective, you gotta address the resistance, and that often means addressing the stories and start knocking out the stories and not believing what's untrue. Cool? Are we following so far? Like I said, I'm just gonna reiterate, a lot of times stories come from childhood, like schemas, and you can learn more about what that's like and how to prevent that from my episode number 13, I believe it is. Are You Emotionally Healthy? Okay, let's move into how you do inner releasing. There are a lot of steps, but I wanted to boil them down just to 5 easy steps to tell you here today. And I have a step-by-step guide called Emotional Digestion that's for free on my website at findinghomehealing.com. You can access that at any time. It walks you through this entire process step by step. It asks you questions, it gives you prompts, it tells you what to do at what stage. In my opinion, and in some of the clients that have used it, it is very, very helpful and effective. So if you would like that step-by-step guide, feel free to go to my website, findinghomehealing.com. You just have to put in your little email thingy and it will give you that download, okay? So inner releasing steps. You gotta let go of resistance. If you're trying to numb, hide, run away, distract, any of the sort, you gotta stop doing that. You gotta stop resisting, okay? You have to ask yourself, and this is in emotional digestion, the framework, the process that I have for free for you. You have to ask yourself the questions like, why am I running away from this? Why am I numbing from this? Why am I not wanting to face this? What's so hard about this emotion, or what's so uncomfortable about it? Like, what is blocking me from wanting to face it or feeling into it, right? Okay, so letting go of resistance, that's number 1. Number 2, you got to make a decision to let that shit go. Excuse me for my language. You got to make a decision to let that go, to let the emotion go. Just like with the pen analogy that I was telling you earlier, it's that moment in time where you're like, oh, yep, okay, I'm dropping it. I want to let it go. You make a decision. You give yourself permission to let it go. Cool. Step number 3, you got to have some type of somatic experience. Okay, because emotions are energy, your body absorbs energy. You have to breathe. You got to, breath work is a really powerful way. I'm going to talk about this in a minute, but like tapping is a somatic experience. And I'll explain that if you've never heard of that before. Punching something, going on a workout, going on a brisk walk, getting your heart rate up, doing some jumping jacks, literally like shaking out your whole body and moving your head back and forth and just like having like a freak out moment, but in a good way. That's like getting the emotion or the energy out of your body. Some type of somatic physical expression is necessary. Number 4, we need to extract the learnings. Like I was mentioning earlier, emotions are messengers. In order for inner releasing to be effective and helpful for you, we got to extract the learnings. We got to learn from those emotions. What are they here to teach us? Cool. And step number 5, we need to make peace with the version of you that experienced the root cause of the emotion. So again, I already mentioned this, but whoever you were when that emotion started, like the very first moment that it began, we got to go make peace with that version of you. A lot of times it's in childhood, and a lot of times it's genealogic, or again, if it's in your belief system, a past life. But those versions of you, even if it's the version of you that existed in your great-grandmother, we got to go make peace with that version. And if it's the version of you that was 3 years old, with this, maybe 6 would be a better analogy for the example that I gave. If you are feeling hurt that your spouse didn't answer the phone because of all of these stories that, I feel hurt because he didn't answer the phone, because I annoy him or her, because I talk too much. Maybe when you were 6 years old, somebody told you that you talk too much and you're annoying. And for whatever reason, you really internalized that, and that became your truth. And you then got that insecurity implanted into you. And energetically now, anytime that you feel that semblance of that insecurity being poked, then you feel hurt. Because what's really true is that when you were 6 years old, that person told you a lie and was not very kind and not loving and gave you that poison that started your insecurity. And that's now what triggers you. Or that's now what the story is that's been built up so high in order to protect that really vulnerable part of you that feels hurt from that original event. Like, that is what we need to go back to and heal. That is the version of you that we need to make peace with. We need to let that 6-year-old know, hey, this person lied to you. They gave you poison, and we need to extract and remove that poison out of you. And now what's really true is that we love your expression. People love hearing what you have to say. You're not annoying. Your spouse didn't answer the phone because they think that you're annoying. They didn't answer it because they were on a meeting. They were busy. They were preoccupied. They weren't next to their phone. Whatever other story is probably true, as to explain why that spouse didn't answer the phone. So it's not to say that you're invalid for feeling hurt in that example, right? You're not invalidated for feeling that hurt, but that hurt is actually because of something that happened long ago. And I'm sure that one instance of feeling hurt that your spouse didn't answer the phone is not the only time that you feel hurt because of the insecurity that you think you're too needy or that you're annoying or you talk too much. Okay? So we got to make peace with that version of you that experienced the root cause of whatever emotion it is that you're experiencing. Okay, the step-by-step guide, Emotional Digestion, will really help you with a lot of that. My 3 other favorite methods for inner releasing, 2 can be done on your own, and 1 in this list, there's lots of ways to do inner releasing, but these are just what I'm trying to simplify for you. 1 is necessary to do with a practitioner, somebody like me who's trained and who does it a lot with people and has a lot of success with it. Okay, the first one that you can do on your own is called Sonoma releasing. I don't take any credit for this. To be quite honest with you, I don't know the name of the person who came up with this, but it's essentially a script of questions that you ask yourself, and I find them to be really powerful and effective in certain situations. I want to go over with that script with you right now so that you have it in case that is really effective and helpful for you, okay? So in Sonoma release, you scan your body for what you notice you're feeling, and you breathe deeply into your belly, right? Then you ask yourself, could I allow myself to be okay with whatever I'm experiencing in this moment, even if it's what I would not prefer? Could I allow myself to be okay with whatever I'm experiencing in this moment, even if it's what I would not prefer? Yes or no? Could I welcome what I'm experiencing even more? Could I just allow it? Yes or no? No is okay, right? The Sonoma release script is really to help with that resistance part that we talked about, okay? Now, after asking yourself those questions, notice what you are experiencing. Is it heavier or lighter? Whatever you're experiencing now, notice it for a moment more. And then you're going to release on like a specific topic or a specific emotion, right? So you can think about something small to medium that bothered you in the last week or today or whatever it is. And as you think about that thing that bothered you or that emotion that you're feeling that you want to release, that was small to medium, notice what sensation there is. Is there a clutching? Is there like a heaviness or a grappling or a tearing apart or a pulling or what is the sensation tied to it? Whatever it is, ask yourself, could I just allow myself to let it be there? Yes or no? Could I give it an undivided awareness even more? Yes or no? Okay, so you can ask yourself those questions as many times as you need to feel like you are kind of breaking down that resistance to the emotion or to the sensation or the bothersome thing or the discomfort. Then you can move into this line of questioning. Could I let it go? Yes or no? Just could I? Could I let it go? Could I let it go? Yes or no? Would I let it go if I could? Yes or no? Would I let it go if I could? When? When would I let it go if I could? Asking yourself when is really an invite to let it go. Okay? Now notice the feeling. Is it lighter or heavier? With whatever's left, could you allow yourself to let it go even more? Could you let go of even more of it? Can you let go of wanting to change it even more? And you keep asking yourself those questions. Could I let it go? Yes or no? Would I let it go if I could? Yes or no? When? Could you let it go even more now? Could you let go of even more of it now? Can you let go of wanting to change it even more now? Right? These questions are really, really powerful to help your mind break down that resistance and start imagining a world in which these emotions start disappearing and you're letting them go. So the last thing is noticing what you think or feel about that situation and see if it still feels the same. With whatever's there, ask yourself again, can you allow it to be there? And just notice it. Don't try to figure it out. Don't try to change it. Allow all the feelings. Stop trying to figure it out. Stop trying to change it. This is also very reflective of acceptance and commitment therapy, ACT. This exact script is not necessarily a part of that, but it's very similar. So if you've heard of ACT or you've done ACT before, this is really the letting go of resistance part, okay? And really like the letting it go part. I do like including other parts of the inner releasing, process, because like I shared with you, we need to make decisions to let it go. We need somatic experiences. We need to extract learnings, and we need to make peace with the version of ourselves that we experienced the root cause of the emotion. So the Sonoma release script that I just went through with you, those questions, that's really intended to help you let it go more and more and more now, and to be okay with it, to let go of that resistance. And when you do that, emotions really do have a way of starting to release and starting to disappear and fade. Okay? And then just ask yourself, like, how do you feel now? Do you feel lighter in any way, shape, or form? Look, we're not looking for a massive transformation and overhaul of literally everything in your entire life, okay? I was actually just having this download the other day that every incremental bit of change or of growth that we do actually matters more and sticks for longer term than a huge amount of quick transformation or a quick experience that might not be as sustainable. So these little micro moments throughout your day or your week or your month, or a micro moment of a download or a transformation or of a piff or an aha moment, an insight moment, those are what really transform you long term and for the rest of time, more so than, really, really big extravagant things that may be a little bit more, I don't want to say fabricated, but I really just want to let you know that those little moments are just as important, if not even more important, and they are much longer term. They're more sustainable. Okay, the other two methods. So that was the Sonoma releasing method that you can do on your own. The second one that you can do on your own is called tapping. Tapping is also sometimes referred to as emotional freedom technique, or EFT. You can just look up on Google, and I have resources for tapping too, but for the sake of it, just on Google, you can just look up tapping, or YouTube, and there's tons of videos describing how to do it. It's very simple. You start with the karate chop part of your hand, and you start saying different phrases to yourself, like witnessing the emotion, feeling the emotion, processing it, expressing it, and you start tapping all these different areas of your body, the tops of your eyebrows, the sides of your eyes, the temple, underneath your eyes, right on top of your cheekbone, right underneath your nose, above your lip, on your chin, like the crease in your chin, your collarbone, underneath your arm, your rib cage, and the top of your head. And you go through these tapping cycles while saying different phrases out loud that is essentially helping you let go of the resistance to the emotion, welcoming the emotion and more. It's handling the somatic experience because you're tapping on these meridian parts of your body that's helping your nervous system, reprogram and recondition to let the emotion get back its motion and let it move. And in tapping, you do come to a point where you're extracting some learnings. So that is a really, really great and effective method to do inner releasing at certain points in time when you have emotions or you're stuck in a state that you need to get out of. Tapping's great. I really, really like it. I love it a lot. The final one is MER, mental emotional release. This is one that you do need to do with a practitioner. However, once you do it with a practitioner, once you develop the skill, you can totally do it on your own as well. It's not dangerous. It's not invasive. It's not anything like that. It's very powerful. It's very effective. Mental emotional release really covers all of the steps, right? We're letting go of resistance. We're asking your unconscious mind for permission to let the emotion go. We're tapping into the very root cause of the emotion. Like I said, whether that's, years ago in childhood, in past life, in genealogy, whatever's in your belief system, that's where we go. And we're learning, we're taking, we're extracting learnings, we're taking lessons from the root cause event, which essentially allows the emotion to fully disappear. And you take those learnings moving forward and you let go of the emotion all the way along your timeline from the past to now and into the future. And you're really making peace with that version of yourself, like I said, that experienced the root cause of the emotion too. So MER really handles everything, and it's really, really helpful when a practitioner leads you through it. Once you develop the skill, you can also do it on your own. So it's really, really powerful and really effective. I've helped people get rid of lifetimes of anger and fear and hurt and shame, disappointment, guilt. I had some clients that were going through an infertility journey, and we did MER. We released a lot of anger. We did some coaching through getting better boundaries and developing better relationships with themselves, their own inner child, their spouse. And lo and behold, they got pregnant, and now they're on their second one, right? So it is possible. These things, inner releasing is so powerful and so beautiful. And I've given you lots of tools today to just actually literally go out and use and to know how to do it. So I would really like to invite you to actually take advantage of those tools. Like I said, this is your body, your home, your soul's home. You need to clean it. You need to keep it clean. If you're experiencing emotions frequently and they're getting stuck, all you're doing is just building up your reservoir of trash. And we need to get that trash moved out. It's got to go. We got to empty it out. We got to cleanse it out, clear it out, let it disappear, let it evaporate, all of that. So if you would like my undivided attention and support, if you would like me to help you with this process, please feel free to book a 15-minute consult on my website. Those are free at the time of this podcast recording at findinghomehealing.com. Please just go book a call. If we're a good fit, it would be great to work together. If not, that's totally cool too. Hopefully these episodes are supportive for you. And I also highly, highly recommend downloading that free guide, Emotional Digestion, on my website, findinghomehealing.com. Cool. All right, so we went over a lot of stuff. We went over inner releasing and why it's so important, what it really is. We talked about emotions, what emotions are, how sometimes we can get into trouble with them. I gave you some examples around what stories are and how resistance is really what keeps emotions stuck and how you hold on to emotions and what to do with that. We went into some practical ways of how to do inner releasing. So now you should, by the end of this podcast, understand what inner releasing and emotion digestion are or is, why they're so important, and hopefully you're pretty enrolled into why that's so important and why you need to be doing it every single day for a healthy routine and to be happy, and how to do it, right? So we've covered everything. And you heard some stories, right? So we've got all of those boxes checked. You should feel, hopefully, I don't want to put anything on you like shoulds. I don't want to should all over you. But my hope and my desire for you is that you feel really supported in what we talked about, why we're talking about it, why it's so important, and how to do it. And that you have next steps. If you would like my support, you can go to my website, book a free call. Again, at the time of this podcast, they're free. I'm very excited to offer that to you so that we can connect and see if we're a good fit to work together. And after that, and post all of that, my hope is that this has just been really supportive for you. I hope this has been informative. Please leave a review, share this, like it, comment or post or whatever it is that you can do with wherever you're listening to this, so that we can get this to more people to help them in their potential time of need. That's really my goal and my desire with this. I just want this information to reach the right people and who I'm meant to help and who resonates with my message and how I teach and the way that I am, because I am kind of quirky, right? So please share it, please review it. I really, really appreciate all of the support. If you're watching this on YouTube, hit the subscribe, the like, all those good things. Thank you so much for your time. I appreciate you being here, and we'll see you in the next one. If you love this episode and or maybe others that you've listened to, please leave a review wherever you're listening to this. Share it with somebody that you think it could help. That's the biggest way you can help me help even more people like us. And if you want one-on-one support, feel free to go to findinghomehealing.com and schedule an intro session with me there. Thank you so much for tuning in today, and we'll see you in the next one.